10 minutes after I asked my husband for a divorce, every exit in the house locked at once. At first, I thought Adrian was proving exactly why I had to leave him. The front doors would not open. Neither would the terrace. The garage panel flashed red. Even the narrow service gate beyond the east courtyard had sealed itself with a quiet mechanical click. I stared at the security screen. 9:57 p.m. 10 minutes earlier, I had slid a cream envelope across the dining table and watched the most feared mafia boss in New York read my name beside the word petitioner. Adrian Moretti had not shouted. That would have been easier. He had simply looked at me with those dark gray eyes and asked, "Is this what you want?" Yes. One word. 2 years of marriage inside it. He studied me for several seconds, then rose from his chair. Black suit, white shirt, no tie, rain still darkening one shoulder of his coat. Stay here. I almost laughed. No, his jaw tightened. Then he walked out. That was Adrian. He never argued when he could act. I followed him 10 minutes later and found the entire estate sealed. Open the doors. My voice echoed through the marble foyer. Adrian stood near the bottom of the staircase with Ethan Cross, his underboss, and 2 men from security. Nobody spoke. They were all watching Adrian. Waiting. He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. Ethan, boss, clear the room. 3 men disappeared in seconds. Then it was just us, husband and wife, or almost ex-husband and ex-wife. You cannot lock me inside. Because I asked to leave. Adrian's eyes stayed on mine. I know. The answer hit harder than denial. Then open them. No, he glanced once toward the security panel. 8 minutes after you gave me those papers, the West camera feed looped for 11 seconds, and a vehicle with cloned estate credentials touched the outer gate. Until I know whether that was coincidence, nobody leaves. My anger did not disappear. Then tell me that before you seal the house. His jaw tightened. I should have. My pulse jumped. You don't own me. Something moved across his face. Gone too quickly to name. I know that, too. I stepped closer. Then what exactly do you think this is? Before he could answer, my phone vibrated in my hand. Unknown calls had been coming all week. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the number. My breath stopped. No. Impossible. The screen showed a name I had not seen light up my phone in 6 years. Dad. Nathan Bennett. My father had been dead since I was 22. Adrian saw my face change. What is it? I turned the screen toward him. For the first time that night, Adrian Moretti lost his stillness. Only for a second, but I saw it. I answered. Hello. Nothing. Then a metallic scraping sound. Slow. Deliberate. A distorted male voice came through the line. Ask your husband why your father died. The call ended. I stood frozen. Adrian was already moving. He pulled out his phone. Ethan. Full lockdown. Freeze, every Moretti channel. Nobody leaves. Nobody calls out. Trace Claire's line now. His voice had changed. Colder. Sharper. The mafia boss had replaced my husband. I stared at him. You knew my father. Adrian looked at me. Too long. Far too long. Then he said quietly, better than you think. Better than you think. Stayed between us like a blade neither of us wanted to touch. How? I asked. Adrian didn't answer. Instead, he turned toward the bookcase beside the staircase and pressed his thumb against a hidden panel. A section of shelving slid backward. Come. I'm not going anywhere with you until you explain my father. His gray eyes settled on me. Then come where the answers are. I hated that I followed him. Behind the library was a room I had never known existed. No paintings. No family photographs. Just illuminated maps of New York. Shipping routes, coded ledgers, surveillance feeds, and photographs of men whose faces I recognized from newspapers. One older photograph carried a black archival stripe. Salvatore Moretti, deceased. Adrian's uncle. I remembered the name from the single family history Adrian had once refused to discuss. For 2 years, I had been sleeping beside a mafia boss while pretending his world ended at our bedroom door. Adrian stepped to the central table. Who knew about the divorce? My lawyer. Who else? No one. His gaze sharpened. I looked away. Claire. Victor saw me leaving Rachel Monroe's office last week. He asked if something was wrong. Adrian went completely still. Victor Hale had served the Moretti family longer than Adrian had ruled it. What did you tell him? That I was filing. I made him promise not to tell you. Adrian picked up a secure phone. Ethan, audit Victor quietly. He hears nothing about it. He ended the call and touched another screen. 3. Maps appeared. Russo? I asked, recognizing Dante Russo's photograph. Possibly. Someone just called me using my dead father's number, which is why guessing would be stupid. Cold. Controlled. That was Adrian at his most dangerous, not angry, but thinking. He issued orders to freeze Moretti communications, trace the spoof call, and inspect every person who had accessed my schedule. No speeches. No panic. Men simply moved when he spoke. 27 minutes later, Ethan returned carrying an envelope in a plastic evidence sleeve. Queens. Relay station. Whoever made the call was gone. Adrian opened it. 3. Photographs slid onto the table. The first showed me outside Rachel's office at 4:16 that afternoon. The second showed me entering my car. The third showed Adrian sitting across from Dante Russo in a private restaurant room. On the back, someone had written, "One wife. One port. Choose." My stomach tightened. What port? The one Russo wants. Adrian studied the third photograph instead of the threat. What? I asked. He enlarged it. This angle. Ethan leaned closer. His expression hardened. Private dining room. Adrian nodded. Only 6 people were inside. I understood. Whoever was watching me also had access to Adrian. This wasn't just about our marriage. Someone was standing inside his organization, feeding information outward. For one brief second, Adrian looked at me instead of the screens. I tried to keep this part of my life away from you. You didn't keep me safe from it, I said. You kept me blind. He absorbed the words without defending himself. Then, Ethan's phone vibrated. He read the message twice. Boss. Adrian turned. We found where the divorce information came from. My fingers tightened around my father's old watch. Rachel? No, Ethan looked directly at Adrian. The first unauthorized access happened yesterday at 11:38 a.m. Adrian's voice dropped. From where? Ethan hesitated. Your Manhattan office. Silence swallowed the room. Adrian stared at the screen, already calculating. Then Ethan added the part that made even him look uneasy. And whoever accessed it used Victor Hale's credentials. Victor's credentials prove access, Adrian said. They don't prove Victor. That was the difference between my husband and every dangerous man I had imagined him to be. Adrian didn't chase the first answer. He distrusted answers that arrived too easily. It was 11:14 p.m. when he divided 3 index cards across the table. What are those? I asked. 3 lies. Ethan understood immediately. Adrian gave him the first card. Tell Victor Claire leaves for Pier 17 at midnight. The second went into an encrypted message for another senior lieutenant. A safe house in Queens. Adrian kept the third route inside his private system. Different information to different people, I said. And we watch which location moves. His eyes met mine. Exactly. I folded my arms. You're using me as bait. No, his voice remained calm. I'm using information about you as bait. You're staying here. Still. Deciding for me. Something tightened behind his eyes. Tonight, yes. There was the man I wanted to divorce. Not cruel. Worse, sometimes. Certain. 41 minutes later, Ethan's phone vibrated. Movement at Pier 17. Adrian didn't react. Russo. 2 vehicles connected to his Brooklyn crew. Victor's lie. My stomach sank. So Victor betrayed you. Adrian looked at the map. Maybe. What more do you need? A mistake. Whose? Theirs. He enlarged traffic footage near the pier. If Victor sold me out, he knows how I test loyalty. He wouldn't move men this quickly. Ethan nodded slowly. Someone wants us to find him. Before I could answer, another phone rang. Red Hook. A Moretti warehouse had been hit. Adrian listened for less than 20 seconds. Casualties. Pause. Good. Pull half the visible crew. Leave the rest dark. Track every vehicle leaving the district. He ended the call. You're not going? I asked. His gaze shifted to me. That's what they want. He pointed to the map. Pier 17 makes me distrust Victor. Red Hook makes me move manpower. Your photograph makes me emotional. And someone is trying to choose my decisions for me. His voice lowered. I dislike that. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Then I noticed a photograph. Beneath the Pier 17 file. Old. Priest. A younger Adrian stood outside a warehouse beside a man wearing the same silver watch now wrapped around my wrist. My father. My hand went cold. I pulled the photograph free. When was this? Adrian saw it and stopped. Claire, don't. I held it. Between us. You said you knew him. You didn't say you worked with him. It's more complicated. That phrase is becoming very convenient. Before Adrian could answer, Ethan returned, his face stripped of color. We found Victor. Adrian turned. Where? An abandoned storage building in Yonkers. He wasn't running. Ethan paused. Someone tied him to a chair and left his phone broadcasting his credentials. The room went silent. Victor had been framed. Adrian looked at the photograph in my hand, then at Ethan. Is he conscious? Barely. What did he say? Ethan swallowed. One sentence. Adrian waited. He said, don't trust. Ethan. Nobody moved. Ethan stared at Adrian. Adrian stared back. Then, Adrian's expression cooled. Too convenient, he said. If Victor truly believed Ethan was the traitor, he would give me evidence, not a sentence designed to split the room. The warning remained, but Adrian refused to let it become a verdict. I should have been watching them. Instead, I was still looking at my father beside the mafia boss I had married. Why was my father with you? I whispered. Adrian's eyes shifted to mine. For once, he didn't hide behind silence. Because 6 years ago, Claire, the man who was supposed to die in that car wasn't your father. My heartbeat stopped. Adrian's next words barely rose above a whisper. It was me. The man who was supposed to die in that car was me. For a second, I forgot about Ethan. Victor. The locked estate. Everything narrowed to Adrian's face. Explain. He dismissed everyone with one look. Even Ethan left without protest, though Victor's warning still hung over him like a loaded question. Adrian waited until the door closed. Your father handled accounts for companies connected to my family. My father was a corporate accountant. He was. Adrian paused. Some of those corporations belonged to us. My fingers closed around Nathan's old watch. You used him. My father did. And you? I trusted him. The distinction mattered to Adrian. I wasn't sure it mattered to me. 6 years earlier, Adrian had just taken control of the Moretti family after the death of his father, Vincent Moretti. Nathan discovered money disappearing through shell companies. Millions transferred through accounts that eventually touched Russo territory. He brought the records directly to Adrian. Why you? Because he believed someone inside my organization was selling us out. Adrian's eyes lowered to the watch on my wrist. He was right. The night my father died, Adrian was supposed to leave a warehouse in Yonkers in his primary black SUV. Nathan noticed something wrong with it before Adrian entered. The brake line had been cut, Adrian said. Your father stopped me. My throat tightened. Then why was he driving? Adrian's silence answered. Before his words did. We believed the threat was attached to that vehicle. We were wrong. Nathan took my identical reserve SUV from the same secured bay and left through the service exit I normally used. From the street, anyone watching would have seen my car, my route, and a driver behind tinted glass. They never confirmed the face. And they followed him. Yes. The crash I had spent 6 years calling an accident suddenly became something with intention behind it. He died because they believed he was you. Adrian looked at me. Yes. I stepped back. And you watched me afterward. Yes. Because you felt guilty. At first. 2 words. Somehow worse than a lie. Is that why you married me? His expression changed. Claire, was I a debt? No. Was our first meeting accidental? Silence. My stomach dropped. Adrian. No. The room seemed to tilt. The gallery fundraiser. His quiet smile. The second meeting 3 days later. Every coincidence I had once treasured suddenly had fingerprints on it. You arranged it. I arranged the opportunity to meet you. I laughed once, without humor. That sounds like something a mafia boss tells himself when manipulation Feels too ugly. He accepted the blow. What happened afterward wasn't planned. You expect me to believe that? No, that stopped me. I expect you to decide what you believe when you have everything. Before I could answer, the secure line flashed. Adrian picked it up. His face hardened as he listened. How many? A pause. Hold position. Nobody retaliates until I know who benefits. He ended the call. What happened? 3 of my capos received messages claiming I'm abandoning. Red hook because my wife is leaving me. My divorce. Weaponized. Someone is trying to turn your own people against you. Yes. The door opened. Ethan entered. Victor's awake. Adrian's gaze sharpened. And he says his credentials were cloned yesterday. He remembers who took his phone. Who? He doesn't know. He was attacked from behind. Ethan hesitated, but he heard a voice before he lost consciousness. Adrian waited. The man said, "The old Moretti order is coming back." Something cold passed through Adrian's eyes. My father Vincent's order died with him. Adrian's eyes narrowed. And Salvatore, the uncle who enforced most of it, has been dead 7 years. Ethan shook his head. Maybe the order outlived both of them. He placed a recovered photograph on the table. It showed Nathan beside Adrian and 3 other men. One face had been violently scratched away. On the back, in my father's handwriting, were 5 words. If Adrian learns, war begins. If Adrian learns, war begins. I read my father's handwriting twice. Adrian only needed once. Who's the missing man? I asked. I don't know. Yet. He turned to Ethan. Find the original photograph. Check my father's archives, Nathan's employment files, everything from that year. Ethan didn't move. Victor's warning still stood between them. Don't trust Ethan. Adrian noticed. Of course he did. One more thing, he said. Claire moves to safe house B at 1. Ethan's eyes flicked toward me. Understood. He left. I stared at Adrian. I'm going. Nowhere. I know. Then why tell him that? Adrian watched the door. Close. Because if Russo reaches safe house B, Ethan either betrayed me, or someone is listening to his orders. It was brutal in its simplicity. At 12:47 a.m., 13 minutes before the false transfer was supposed to happen, 2 black sedans appeared 3 blocks from safe house B. Ethan returned 9 minutes later. Adrian placed the surveillance image in front of him. How long? Ethan frowned. How long what? Have you been selling me? Silence. Then Ethan laughed once. Not nervously. Almost relieved. You finally found the relay. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Ethan pulled a small transmitter from his pocket. I've been feeding false traffic through our command network for 3 weeks. Somebody has been copying orders after they leave me. Without telling me, I needed whoever it was to believe the channel was clean. Adrian's voice went quiet. You used my network as bait. Ethan met his stare. Learned from you. For one dangerous second, neither man moved. Then Adrian asked, where does the relay terminate? Mason Vale's administrative node. I knew the name. Moretti Communications Chief. A man who had attended our anniversary dinner. Ethan shook his head before Adrian could accuse him. That proves somebody used Mason's access layer. It does not prove Mason built it. Adrian was already reaching for his phone. Bring Mason in. Alive. I want to know who touched his node. 20 minutes later, the answer came back. Too late. Mason had been found dead in his Manhattan apartment. No forced entry. His laptop gone. On the wall, written in black marker, the old man was right about you. Your father? I asked. Adrian stared at the message. Maybe. Or mine. His eyes shifted to me. That was when I remembered something. A sound. A tiny melody my father used to whine before bed. The music box. Adrian went still. What? Dad gave me a wooden music box 2 weeks before he died. He told me never to throw it away. Where is it? My old Brooklyn apartment. Storage cabinet above the bedroom closet. Adrian's expression changed instantly. Who knows you kept it? No one. Then, memory struck. 3 months after Dad's funeral, Victor had helped me move. He had packed that cabinet himself. Victor. Adrian didn't accuse him. He simply asked, what kind of accountant was your father? Careful. Careful men don't leave evidence on servers. My pulse accelerated. You think he hid something inside it? I think someone has spent 6 years searching for something Nathan made sure they couldn't find. Ethan's phone rang. He listened, then looked at Adrian. Boss, Victor disappeared from medical transport. Adrian's face hardened. Taken? No. He walked. The room turned cold. My father's. Warning. Victor's credentials. The music box. All roads suddenly pointed toward the same man. Then my phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. A photograph loaded. Victor stood outside my Brooklyn building. Beneath it were 6 words. Bring Adrian, and your father dies twice. You're not going to Brooklyn, Adrian said. I looked at Victor's photograph on my phone. That wasn't a request. Neither was mine. There he was again. The man who could lock an estate and call it necessity. Then nothing changed. Adrian's eyes hardened. Everything changed. Except you still decide what I'm allowed to do. Silence. Ethan watched from across the room. Adrian finally looked at him. Prepare 2 cars. Civilian plates. No Moretti phones. I blinked. What? Adrian turned back to me. You want a choice? Make one. Stay here, or help me find out why Victor wants that box. It wasn't freedom. Not completely. But it was the first time he had opened the door instead of choosing which side of it I stood on. At 3:11 a.m., I entered my old Brooklyn building alone. Adrian wasn't beside me. He was in a mobile command unit 6 blocks away, controlling surveillance on every street around us while Ethan tracked Victor. 3rd floor clear, Adrian's voice said through the tiny earpiece. Stop narrating my hallway. Hey, pause. Fine. Somehow, that almost made me smile. My apartment smelled like dust and old wood. I reached above the bedroom closet and found the box exactly where I had left it. Walnut. Brass hinge. A faded moon. Carved into the lid. I wound it. The same melody my father used to play. Filled the room. Nothing else happened. Adrian, there's nothing here. Nathan didn't die protecting nothing. I examined the lining, the mechanism, then the tiny mirror beneath the lid. One corner sat higher than the others. I pried it loose. Something thin dropped into my palm. Microfilm. My breath caught. Along its first edge was a tiny moon-shaped registration frame, identical to the carving on the music box. I remembered my father showing me that mark when I was a child and calling it his way of knowing whether a record was complete. I had never understood why it mattered. I found something. The lights died. Adrian's voice sharpened instantly. Claire. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. Someone's coming. Do not open that door. I wasn't planning. 2, 3 knocks. Then Victor's voice. Claire. It's me. Adrian went silent for half a second. Ethan has eyes on the stairs. Victor came. Alone. I opened the door only after Victor stepped backward and raised both hands. His face was bruised. Give me the film. Why? Because Adrian cannot see what's on it. My stomach tightened. You framed yourself? No. I ran because whoever took me wanted Adrian looking at Russo while they searched for this. Then why hide it from him? Victor's eyes moved toward my earpiece. Because the truth will start. The war your father tried to prevent. Adrian's voice came cold through the line. Ask him whose name is on it. I repeated the question. Victor closed his eyes. Not Russo. Whose? Adrian's father. The room seemed to shrink. Vincent Moretti? I asked, remembering the name Adrian had finally given me. Victor nodded. Nathan discovered Vincent was moving money through both families. Russo wasn't stealing from the Morettis. He swallowed. Vincent was financing both sides. Adrian said, nothing. Victor looked directly at me. Your father found proof that the old Mafia war was manufactured. I stared at the microfilm. Why? Because frightened men are easier to control. Then headlights swept across the window. Victor's face changed. Too late. Adrian's voice cut through my earpiece. Claire, leave the box. Take the film. Ethan has the rear stairs. I moved. Victor caught my wrist. Not hard, just enough to stop me. There's one more name. I froze. Who? Victor looked terrified for the first time. Salvatore Moretti. Adrian's uncle. Dead. 7 years. Victor whispered. Claire, Salvatore didn't die. Salvatore Moretti died 7 years ago. No, Victor said. He disappeared 7 years ago. Adrian heard every word through my earpiece. His silence frightened me more than anger would have. Ethan reached the apartment seconds later and moved us through the rear stairs, while Adrian's men intercepted the vehicles outside without turning Brooklyn into a battlefield. By 4:08 a.m., we were inside Adrian's mobile command unit in Lower Manhattan. The microfilm sat beneath a scanner. Names appeared across the monitor. Vincent Moretti. Shell companies. Payments to Moretti Cruz. Payments to Russo Cruz. The same money. Financing both sides of a war that had killed dozens. Adrian stood, motionless. My father manufactured the conflict. Victor nodded. Fear kept the capos loyal. Every time peace became possible, Vincent created another reason to hate Russo. Then another name appeared. Dante Russo. I looked at Adrian. He was involved. Victor shook his head. He was trying to expose it. Adrian's gaze snapped toward him. Dante knew parts of it. Nathan contacted him because he needed someone outside. Moretti control. Adrian's jaw tightened. His greatest rival had known a truth his own family had hidden. And Salvatore? I asked. Victor pointed to a sequence of transfers. Vincent's partner. He helped move the money. When Adrian took control and started dismantling the old accounts, Salvatore staged his death. The pieces aligned with sickening precision. The leaked divorce. Victor's stolen credentials. Mason's death. The attacks designed to make Adrian strike Russo. He wants you to start the old war again, I said. Adrian looked at me. Not just start it. He touched the screen. Lose it. If Adrian appeared, distracted by his wife, attacked Russo without proof, and lost the confidence of his capos, Salvatore could return as the man promising stability. Adrian picked up a secure phone. Give me Dante Russo. Victor stared at him. You're calling him? I'm done letting dead men choose my enemies. 40 minutes later, we entered an abandoned church in Queens. Dante Russo waited near the altar with two men. Adrian brought Ethan. No armies. No theatrics. Two mafia bosses facing each other. Beneath broken stained glass. Dante looked at me once. So the wife exists. Adrian's voice went cold. Look at her again, and this meeting ends. Dante almost smiled. Still predictable. Adrian placed a copy of Nathan's records on the altar. Dante's amusement vanished. Salvatore. Adrian said. Where? Dante studied him. Alive. And already inside your family. He revealed 3 Moretti capos had secretly pledged loyalty to Salvatore. Before Adrian could respond, my phone vibrated. Unknown number. A message appeared. 3 capos. 1 wife. 1 film. Brooklyn. Navy Yard. Before sunrise. Adrian read it. You're not going, he said. My anger flashed. We already did this. His eyes met mine. Something shifted. He looked at the microfilm, then held it out to me. Then, decide. I stared at him. For the first time, Adrian Moretti was placing the most valuable piece on his board in my hand. I'm going, I said. He nodded once. Then we make him believe he chose the battlefield. Dante frowned. What are you planning? Adrian looked toward the first gray line of dawn beyond the shattered windows. His voice was almost quiet. By the time Salvatore sees Claire, I want his money frozen, his lieutenants isolated, and every escape route owned by me. Then he looked at me. He thinks you're my weakness. I closed my fingers around the film. Adrian's eyes turned cold. Let's make that his last mistake. By the time Salvatore sees Claire, I want every escape route owned by me. Adrian said it like the outcome had already been decided. At 5:12 a.m., Brooklyn Navy Yard rose out of the fog ahead of us. Steel, concrete, abandoned cranes against a paling sky. I rode in a separate car. The microfilm in my coat pocket was fake. The real one had already been copied 3 times. 1 copy stayed with Victor. 1 with Ethan. The 3rd had gone somewhere even I didn't know. I kept only the narrow original authentication strip hidden inside my coat, the one piece Nathan's filing system required to validate any complete archive. Adrian trusted no single point of failure. Not anymore. Phase 1 complete. Ethan said through my earpiece. Salvatore's offshore accounts are frozen. Adrian's voice followed. Phase 2. 2 lieutenants detained. 3rd surrendered. Capos. 2 switched back. 1 still with Salvatore. Adrian had started dismantling his uncle before we ever reached the building. That was the part Salvatore had misunderstood. Adrian wasn't coming to negotiate. He was arriving after the war had already been won everywhere that mattered. Inside the shipyard, 3 Moretti capos waited beneath rusted beams. Salvatore stood above them on a metal platform. He looked older than the photographs. Silver hair, dark coat, Adrian's eyes in another man's face. Nephew. Adrian stopped. Beside me. You should have stayed dead. Salvatore smiled. And miss. Watching a woman dismantle you. His gaze moved to me. Give me Nathan's film. I took it from my pocket. Adrian didn't stop me. Salvatore noticed. She gives orders now? No, Adrian said. She makes choices. Something in my chest tightened. I tossed the film onto the table. Between us. Salvatore picked it up, checked it beneath a portable reader, and smiled. Then the smile vanished. Blank frames. You think this is clever? No, Adrian said. I think freezing $48 million before sunrise was clever. Salvatore's face changed. Ethan stepped from the shadows. Your Newark accounts are gone. Jersey. Crew 2. Another figure appeared near the opposite entrance. Dante. Russo. Salvatore stared at him. You brought Russo here? Adrian barely glanced at Dante. Temporary alignment. Dante smiled coldly. Don't make it sentimental. Salvatore reached for his phone. No signal. Adrian had already cut the internal relay. Your men? Adrian asked. The ones outside surrendered 12 minutes ago. One of the 3 capos stepped away from Salvatore. Then another. Power didn't collapse with an explosion. Sometimes it disappeared one person at a time. Salvatore's mouth curved. You froze the money. You took the cruise. Very good. He reached beneath the portable reader and pressed a small wired switch. A countdown appeared on its screen, 0:59. But Nathan's evidence has a second life. In 1 minute, every remaining Moretti captain receives an edited archive showing Adrian ordered Nathan's death and secretly sold Red Hook to Russo. You can arrest me and still lose your family before breakfast. Adrian's face changed. For the first time that morning, Salvatore had kept a piece off his board. Kill the relay, Ethan said. Into his radio. It is isolated, Salvatore replied. Local transmitter. No network for your boss to command. I looked at the reader. The fake microfilm still sat beneath its lens. Then I understood why my father had used microfilm in the first place. The archive needs an authentication frame, I said. Salvatore's eyes moved to me. Nathan had taught me as a child that every set of his records began with the same tiny moon-shaped registration mark, the shape, carved into my music box. The fake copy we had given Salvatore did not contain it. I pulled the real film sleeve from the hidden seam Ethan had sewn inside my coat, held it up, and said, Your edited file cannot authenticate without this. Salvatore's confidence broke. He lunged for the sleeve, exactly as I hoped. I stepped back while Ethan intercepted him, and Adrian ripped the transmitter cable from the reader. The countdown froze at 0:07. No doctored archive went out. Salvatore stared at me as Ethan restrained him. All this for her. Adrian looked at me, then back at him. No, he stepped forward. All this because you mistook restraint for weakness. Then his gaze returned to the film in my hand. And because you assumed Claire was only something I had to protect. Salvatore was taken without spectacle. By 5:58 a.m., the coup was over. At 6:18, Adrian and I stood again in the foyer of Moretti Estate. The same security panel that had glowed red now turned green. Front door, terrace, garage, east gate. Every exit opened. Adrian placed my divorce papers on the marble table. His signature waited beneath mine. You signed them? Yes. I looked at him. After everything. His gray eyes held mine. Especially after everything. You locked every door because you thought you'd lose me. Partly. The honesty hurt more than an excuse. There was a threat. But I won't pretend fear was the only reason. He paused. I couldn't accept that. You could choose a life without me. I picked up the papers. And now, Adrian stepped away from the door. Now I understand surviving your choice doesn't give me the right to make it for you. Outside, dawn touched the wet drive. My car waited. No guards blocked it. I walked past him. At the threshold, I turned. The Mafia boss who had defeated a coup before sunrise stood alone beneath the chandelier. Powerful enough to lock every exit. Strong enough, finally, not to. Goodbye, Adrian. His face barely moved. Goodbye, Claire. I stepped outside. Behind me, the door remained open. For months after Adrian Moretti finally let me leave, I learned that the most dangerous promise he ever made was the one he kept. He never followed me. That surprised me more than I wanted to admit. I rented a third-floor apartment in Brooklyn, returned to the gallery, bought groceries without a driver waiting outside, and learned how loud an old radiator could become at 2 in the morning. No black SUVs appeared across the street. No guards followed me onto the subway. No flowers arrived without names. Adrian remained exactly what he had always been, a mafia boss. I heard his name in whispers. Salvatore's network disappeared piece by piece. Moretti captains who had supported the coup lost their positions. The cold truce with Dante Russo held, because both men understood peace was temporarily more profitable than revenge. Victor resigned as consigliere. Ethan remained Adrian's underboss. And Adrian rebuilt the Moretti organization so no single man could ever control its information again. He had not become harmless. He had become harder to betray. But he left me alone. 3 months after I walked out, Victor came to the gallery carrying a small envelope. This belongs to you. Inside was a letter in my father's handwriting, recovered from a safe Victor had kept hidden for 6 years. I waited until midnight to read it. Most of the letter concerned accounts, names, precautions. Then came the final paragraph. Power tells you who a man is when nobody can stop him. Love tells you who he is when the person he wants most says no. I read that sentence until the ink blurred through my tears. My father wasn't asking me to forgive Adrian. He wasn't asking me to return. He was reminding me that choice mattered precisely because nobody else could make it for me. On November 14th, rain followed me all the way to Westchester. The Moretti gates opened after security recognized my car. Nobody escorted me. Nobody announced me. I parked beneath the same stone steps I had crossed 4 months earlier with divorce papers trembling in my hand. Then I rang the bell. Adrian opened the door himself. White shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms. Black trousers, gray eyes suddenly stripped of every defense. Claire. Just my name. Hi. He looked behind me. No luggage. No driver. Are you in trouble? I almost smiled. Of course that was his first question. No. Did someone threaten you? No, he stopped asking. Learning, even now. I looked past him into the foyer. The security panel beside the staircase glowed green. You going to lock that door? Adrian followed my gaze, then looked back at me. Not unless you ask me to. Something inside me finally loosened. I stepped across the threshold. He didn't touch me, didn't claim me, didn't even close the door. Are you staying? He asked. For months ago, Adrian would have decided the answer before asking the question. Tonight, I said. His expression softened almost invisibly. Tonight is enough. I glanced at the open door behind us. You can close it, Adrian. His hand reached for the handle, then stopped. Are you sure? The same question he had asked when I requested the divorce. This time, it meant something entirely different. Yes. He closed the door. He did not lock it. Adrian Moretti still ruled his city. Men still feared his name. He was still the mafia boss I had married. But he finally understood what no empire had ever taught him. Love was not making someone unable to leave. It was becoming someone they could freely return to. For months earlier, every exit had been locked. That night, I stayed because none of them were